Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
There's no turning back now.
Let's put on the show.
You're listening to episode 102 of the Station 71 podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Brian?
Kirsten.
So, got some minor news this week, not anything super exciting. But first thing on our list is that I just lost all of my news. Okay, there we are. Sorry. First thing on our news this week is that the animation experience at Conservation Station is going to be mixing things up a little bit. Looks like we're getting some Disney villains that are going to enter the rotation of characters that they're going to be teaching guests how to draw.
This is a really, really cool thing. I'm really glad they brought this in. I was able to do this a couple weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun.
Good. I want to try it if I can manage that.
I'm happy that they're not just like shoving this in here temporarily and just like leaving it to be like the classic characters or like Simba like it was before. I think it's neat that they're just kind of mixing it up now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely hoping this continues.
So next thing on our news topics this week is that a couple more nights sold out of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party for this year. If you're planning on going October 10th, 11th, or the 31st, you are out of luck. All of those dates are sold out. Kind of expected Halloween to be the one that sold out first. But yeah, 3 dates are now sold out for the Halloween party.
I wonder if they're going to start adding even more dates or like raising the number. I don't think they should raise the number of tickets. I really hope they don't do that. That's like...
No, I would hope that they would add more dates instead of tickets.
When are they going to do it? Like, I mean, we're going to be like in July.
Well, so here's the thing. I want to say this sold out a lot faster last year. So this to me says that they're not selling out as fast as they want. Like we're in October, so actually this article is yesterday and today's date, which by the time that we put this out will now be very obsolete. I just realized today is the 11th. Yeah, so it feels weird that Halloween is technically the only one in the future that's now sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like there were less dates last year that were available at this point.
I agree. I remember it being pretty difficult to find them last year.
I wonder if that, like if they're anticipating for the people that bought the like season long pass for the Halloween party. I wonder if they're anticipating any of them or if they're factoring them into the numbers they're predicting for that night. And if that has anything to do with like either why they're not selling out or, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that. I had an idea, but that disappeared very quickly. I feel like maybe more people bought into that than they were anticipating, so they didn't sell out as fast this year because now like Florida locals have the option to just go whenever they want. Like that's maybe something. I don't know.
You could, definitely. And I'm also just wondering if not as many people are going with prices and everything and with the annual passes being more expensive. Maybe a lot of people, not as many people have annual passes and they're not getting the discount, so they're finding it not cost effective to go.
That's true. I don't know. So last thing on our news topics here is that as of the time that we're recording this and for the foreseeable future until Disney works the kinks out, it looks like the Skyliner is going to remain closed following a collision at the Riviera station. There's not a lot of like public details aside from the fact that it looks like two of the gondolas collided at the station. I believe both of those gondolas were empty, and it trapped everyone that was on the Skyliner behind them because when they collided, they stopped. I know that we had talked about this in our private chat, and it looks like guests were stuck up in the air for what appeared to be like 3 to 4 hours.
The girl, I know a girl, I'm Facebook friends with her. We worked together whenever we were at Disney. She still is at Disney. Anyway, she was stuck for 3.5 hours.
That is insane and terrifying.
Yes.
And I like how you called this gondola crash, which is actually like incredibly crazy that something that dangerous could happen, a kink that they're working out. I enjoy your
So did you guys hear the other parallel to this that I don't know how credible this is because the source that I heard it from supposedly isn't super credible, but apparently when people were reporting this, they were putting Skyliner accident, and Disney was contacting a bunch of like Disney news sites and telling them that they can't word it as an accident and asking them to change the title of their article.
I'm sorry, would they rather it sound like it was on purpose? Because that would be the opposite of it being an accident.
So apparently what they were expecting people to change the articles' names to were unexpected downtime.
On account of the accident.
Well, apparently accident has a very negative connotation, which I agree, but like call it what it is. That was an accident.
I know. I feel like they're just asking for the media to be even more harsh about this if they're going to be like that.
Yeah. I mean, I get it because Disney has a very like high public image that they need to uphold, but that just is not the way to do it.
Upholding that by like not letting gondolas crash. That would be the first step.
Yeah, that would definitely be the first step.
It still blows my mind. I don't understand how this happened. I still have yet to see somebody explain. Yeah, I know. It's like it's funny to me that like the whole issue that like if something delays it is because all these cars are on the same track equally spaced apart, so when it stops you have to wait, but at the same time that same system allowed 2 of them to hit each other, so it's like I don't get it. It's like the one thing that should never happen is that they crash because they're equally spaced on the thing. It's like it's the worst of both worlds.
Whenever they like, did y'all read? I actually, because I was so curious to see, because whenever we go skiing, we ride gondolas like that. Have y'all ever been skiing and ridden those?
No. Not in a long time, but I have seen the systems where they do get closer when they load together.
Yeah, so I read about it. And basically what I read is like there's a clamp that's what's holding the whole gondola on. And so whenever they come into the station, it's kind of like a zipper. They go over something that makes the clamp kind of come loose. So that's why they all get closer together at the station, because whenever you get onto a gondola like that, they're literally right next to each other. And then as you leave the station, you go back over and it like closes the zipper and then you space out. And then it's like stuck in place. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Because I've always kind of wondered, and this just made me curious enough to actually go look it up and see how it works. So yeah, it's kind of, I guess, essentially like undoing and redoing a Ziploc bag or something. So yeah, I can understand like how they get close to each other, but the fact that they crashed hard enough, because the glass or plexiglass, whatever, was all broken in those, right? I feel like I saw a picture and there was glass.
Oh yeah, there was definitely glass everywhere.
I can't imagine that ever happened. I've never seen or heard of anything like that.
Well, and the other thing that like I heard about the gondola system was that they don't stop for very long at the station. It's like ski lifts where
they don't
kind of
stop at all. Like especially on or whenever we get on skiing, it's moving very slowly, and you load your skis, shove your stuff in there, and then hop in as it's like going around.
Right, and that's kind of what I was expecting from it too. But that also like brings the question of what happens when like what makes it do that.
I just find it hilarious that through this whole process of them developing this and the media and everything, it's like Disney was the only entity that was excited about this, and they kept pushing it with all this advertising and everything. And then this happened, and it's kind of like they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Well, hopefully the gondola makes its return soon. Let me ask you guys this. Is this going to stop you from riding the gondolas, or is it just going to make you more cautious about riding them? Because I think...
Oh, hell yeah. I'm not getting on this thing.
Really? Because for me, I think I still want to ride it, which sounds horrible. But I'm definitely going to wait until like it's been running for a solid like 5 months, no incidents.
Okay. That I will probably do that. I'm not getting on it anytime soon. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah. No, I wouldn't. If you did, I would say that you're crazy. The first
were-
person
I
who
mean,
lines
like-
up for it is out of their mind.
If it were
Yeah.
just me and Will, I totally would, and I would be fine with it because, I mean, honestly, once something like that happens, they're going to be safer than ever. You know, in my opinion, it's kind of like how after Southwest had that plane crash, like, next time you get on a Southwest flight, they're going to have checked everything out like 101%. So I would be fine with it if it was just me and Will, or just me because Will is scared of heights. But going in January with Eli, heck no. Like I said, one of us would be either I would jump out of that gondola if I was stuck with him for 3.5 hours, or we would throw him out, one of the other.
Yeah.
That would be awful. So solely because I have a child, no. But otherwise, sure. I was curious, did y'all see that they had the rescue boats? Because I was telling my friend, like, oh my God, are there any of them stuck over water?
Oh,
How do they do that? But apparently they have a boat.
wait, were they?
They were, yeah. There was
Oh, I didn't even hear that. Yeah, I'm definitely not riding this thing now.
well, so the
No sense of
Skyliner,
adventure.
yeah. Well, that's how they were bringing people down on like zip lines too. It was like zip lines down to the boats, and then also like they had crane, like not cranes, those lifts that they use when like construction workers are going up to fix telephone
Like a
poles.
cherry
Like,
picker?
yeah, thank you. That's the word. But they had those going up to the people that were like off of the streets. So they had ways to get people down, but this feels like they didn't really. They probably should have tested this first.
Yeah,
And then,
I mean,
honestly, that would have been better PR for Disney anyway, because if they had, they did all that testing beforehand, and if they had done like, well, this is what happens when we need to evacuate them, I feel like that was a big like misstep on their part, that they didn't do any testing beforehand. I think that would have made people feel a lot more safe, and then at the same time, like, it maybe would have made this less of a disaster when it did happen.
yeah, I mean, something went wrong for not only for this to happen, but for it to take almost 4 hours to get people out of them when they were stuck.
Well, and
I
my
think that's the
concern-
bigger issue.
Yeah. I mean, is like, what about people? I mean, Eli is fine in those situations, but like, there are a lot of medically complex people like him and old people, like, what do you do in those situations? Like, I mean, if there's somebody ends up having a heart attack on one, or like they're diabetic, I mean, you can't wait 4 hours. Or if there's like an infant, I mean, that's just, it's not safe.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables. Did you guys see what Disney did to compensate the people that were stuck up there?
Gave him a free park
No.
day, right? And then
They
fast
gave him
passes?
They gave him a park hopper ticket, so an extra day in the park, and I've heard anywhere between $100 to $200 Disney gift card.
And I would be stuck there for $200, not with my child, once again, but by myself. I would take that deal.
I don't know about that. Maybe I just go to Disney so frequently that I'm just like, another park day isn't worth it to me. But
Well, that's the thing that's so weird about this to me, like the way that they handled it. I kind of feel like they did it the right way. I wonder, one, if these are going to be like, if they have an expiration date on them, because they better not.
Oh, yeah.
And
That would just
two,
no.
well, the thing that's weird about it, the way that they handled it to me, is that, Walt Disney World's a destination for most people. Like, imagine if you were stuck up on the Skyliner on your last day, and Disney's like, oh, to compensate, here's $200 and an extra ticket that you're not going to use because you're flying home tomorrow.
I would hope they would
Yeah,
give people the
that's-
option of like an all cash or all gift card, you know,
Yeah.
because like I remember whenever my friend was supposed to do one of the half marathons a couple years ago and it got canceled whenever there was that hurricane that ended up not being that bad or something. Anyway, and they gave them a couple different options. Like you can have a park day, you can have like a full refund plus whatever. So I would hope that in this situation, they would definitely work with people. Because if you're like, well, I'm not coming back here, I'm not planning on coming back here. Like this was our once in a lifetime trip. I would hope they would be like, okay, well then we'll give you like a $500 gift card.
Yeah, or like refund your resort or something, you know, like
they need to take lessons from Vegas on comping people because I will say whenever we were in Vegas, like I was waiting, I just needed a new room key because I had forgotten mine and I was by myself and I ended up waiting for like 15 minutes and I was getting annoyed and then they saw me and they're like, oh my gosh, come back here. And then they're like, I'm so sorry it took so long. We're going to comp all of your room service. And I was like, okay. I mean, didn't complain or anything.
Dang.
They just did it. And I was like, man, I wish Disney was this nice about stuff.
Yeah. It would be nice if they did some stuff for things like that. I don't know. So all that said, are you guys ready to dive into our topic this week?
yes,
So
this was difficult.
this one came from a listener. It looks like Jasmin suggested to us. She said, I know you guys mainly talk about the parks, but in honor of Disney Plus, I had an episode idea. I thought it would be fun if you guys dreamcasted your favorite Disney animated movies. Dreamcasting being when you pick who plays each part in your ideal version. They can be people you know or celebrities. So I had a lot of trouble with this one.
Yeah, this was hard. I should not quit my day job.
Yeah, I think we ultimately proved that we are not any people that should work in the movie industry.
Yeah. I actually owned it. I ended up only doing 2 because I had such a hard time. I got like halfway through the 3rd and I was like, I can't do this.
I got really
One
invested
of mine
in
isn't good at all, so
I got really invested in one, and I kind of hope that like this isn't just me being weird about who I've picked for these roles. But I'm gonna save that one for last just in case anyone else picked it. So I guess do you want me to start and then we can just go around?
Sure.
here's an interesting thing. Should we say what movies we did so that if there are 2 people that have the same movie, we can like work on it together in a sense?
I like that idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess do you want me to say what I had and then if anybody has any of
Sure.
them, we can go off of that?
Yeah.
So I did I picked 3 people for Tarzan because I could not come up with like more than half of the cast for that.
I did Tarzan too.
Did you really? I'm interested to see.
I think it was my strongest one. My other 2 I'm kind of about, but I think Tarzan actually was decent for me.
All right, maybe you can carry me on this one because I had 3 people and I'm not confident in anyone but one. I also had Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, that would
And-
have been a good one.
Ooh, I had it down and I started to do it and it was too difficult and I gave up on it.
That's like my middle of the road one. I'm not 100% sold on that one, but I think I have a solid enough roster for it. And then my last one was Hercules.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So which ones did you have that I didn't have, Brian?
So I said I did Tarzan. I also did Peter Pan and the Little Mermaid.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I did Cinderella and Pocahontas.
Okay, that's interesting. I actually kind of was thinking you were going to do Pocahontas.
Yeah, well, I had a very specific reason for picking that one. We'll get there.
Did you? Oh, okay. I'm interested. So do you want to work on Tarzan together, Brian, since
Let's
that's my
work
weakest?
on Tarzan.
All right. So who did you have for Tarzan?
I had Keanu Reeves as Tarzan.
Really? I had, you guys are going to laugh at me for this one, but I had Jason Momoa.
Okay.
see
I
that.
mean, it makes sense. I mean, especially if we were doing a live action remake, that makes perfect sense.
A lot of mine I kind of stuck with live action as the idea, which I think made it
Yeah.
harder because I was like, I really don't like the live action movies.
Yeah, I see. It was really hard. My brain kept going to like casting as a live action, but I kept trying to go back and say, no, just look at their voices. Imagine if you're actually recasting the animated movie.
Okay, mine are
that's
totally
fair.
live action. But also, I think I realized doing this that I'm actually really old because everybody I was thinking of, I was like, wait, they're like old now. This guy, like, because then I found a list of like 50 people, 50, actors and actresses turning 50 this year. And it was like Brad Pitt. And I'm like, what? Like, he's that old? Like he was like a heartthrob 10 years ago. I don't know. So I
Right.
kept thinking like, they're too old to play this person. Like,
So the only other people I had on here, I had Jane and I had Clayton with a question mark next to him because I'm not
Ooh.
100% on my Clayton casting
I am
choice.
actually, I think my Clayton casting choice might be one of the best ones I had.
Really? Okay. So I had for Jane, I had Felicity Jones
Okay.
from Rogue One because
Uh-huh.
I kind of like settled with a English voice actor or voice actress because I'm horrible. And that was the only thing I could think of was Jane needs to have a strong English accent.
Yep, absolutely. So
And then my Clayton, oh, sorry, go ahead. Who was your Jane?
Well, going off that same vein, my Jane was Amelia Clark.
I can see that though. And then Mike Clayton, I had Tom Hardy, and I don't know why I had him. I think it's like the jawline. I really, the more I think about it, can't actually see him as Clayton.
I'm surprised neither of y'all had Emily Blunt as Jane.
I did, but I used her somewhere else, so I figured I wouldn't use her as Jane.
Oh, I used her somewhere else too.
Emily Blunt is definitely on my list.
So who was your choice for Clayton?
My
'Cause you said
choice,
he's pretty strong.
my choice for Clayton was Charles Dance. For those of you who don't know, played Tywin Lannister on Game of Thrones.
That's a good one.
Yeah. He's kind of old though.
I feel like with the right amount of like
Again,
makeup.
I'm doing this as animation though, so
that's
I
true,
think for
yeah.
his voice, it would have been perfect.
Yeah,
for
I
that.
forget you. Okay, you were thinking animated.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anyone else listed for that? Because those were the only three that I had for Tarzan.
Yeah. For Kala, who is Tarzan's mom, I put Julie Andrews. I almost is more of a placeholder, kind of like a hey, you should have Julie Andrews somewhere in your list.
Do
Professor Professor Porter, who was Jane's dad in that, I had Michael Gambon.
Okay.
Let's see.
I don't know who that is.
He played Dumbledore. He also played, I'm trying to remember what his other big role was. It's going to drive me crazy now. You're going to look this up. Good thing I already have IMDb open.
That's okay. I'm Googling it for you. He was in Sleepy Hollow, The King's
That's
Speech.
it. I just watched Sleepy Hollow, and that's what reminded me of it. But I didn't remember that that's...
He was also in Paddington.
Is he
I
not?
actually haven't seen that.
I'm just scrolling through the movies that he was in, and that was one that popped up.
Let's see. For Kerchak, I had James Earl Jones. For Tantor, I had Fred Savage. And then for Turk, I had Leslie Jones from SNL. Well, I guess not anymore,
Yes.
but from used to be on SNL.
I had a couple SNL actors on my list later on.
I got in this thing where I would find somebody that I was like happy for a role, and then I would like pick whatever their most popular thing was, and then I would get so hung up on like only thinking about actors or actresses like from that movie or TV show. Like, no, you have to branch out. You got to branch out. You're gonna just like recast like one TV show into a different TV show.
So I'm gonna make you laugh because I did the same thing, and when I originally did this list, I had a lot of trouble with it, so I had to like look up some other people's ideas for certain characters, and I ended up almost entirely making a Parks and Rec's Disney Cinematic Universe.
See, a lot. I had like at one point, I think I had like 5 people from The Office on here, and I was like, no, no, you can't do everybody from The Office. But I do still have a couple.
My problem was I would just think of somebody like what the thing was that I associated with them with, and I could only think of them like in that kind of role, you know,
Yeah.
like because I love Margot Robbie and I saw her name and I was like, I can't use her because she's like way too like seductive to be in a Disney movie. In theory, though, she could probably do it because she's like a good actress. But I was just like, I can't associate her with anything but like Wolf of Wall Street. So
I can see that. So did you want to do another one off of your list, or did we have any others that overlapped? I don't think anybody else did, right?
I think that was the only. Well, no, yeah, that was the only overlap I think we said we had, right?
Yeah, I think so. So then that makes it
let
two for
Kirsten
everybody.
go.
Yeah. Do you want to do? Yeah, go ahead. You can do one of yours.
Okay. I'll start with Pocahontas because it's much lamer. Basically, so number one, I am a registered Native American. I have a card. I'm not like one of those people who's like, my grandma was a Cherokee princess. No, she wasn't. Anyway, so I was like, basically, I just wanted, because our listener said they can be people you know or celebrities. And really, my only goal here was what movie can I use where I can be the star and Cher can be my mother figure. So
why did I not see this coming at all?
So that I can be Pocahontas. What? Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
Please tell me, are you about to cast Cher as that tree in Pocahontas?
Grandmother Willow.
Oh my god.
Why is it? I just want to sit in front of Cher and ask her what to do with my life like all the time.
I just want to see that tree ask Pocahontas.
It's going to be like a willow tree, but then instead of leaves, it's going to have like sequins and like glitter and rhinestones.
Thought this out.
When the wind blows, it's just going to be like a sea of sparkliness. It's going to be very fabulous. Anyway, moving on.
Oh my! When you said your picks, I was like, I'm surprised she didn't pick Tangled because Cher would be like the easy
Mother
grab for that.
Was physically based on Cher, but Mother Gothel is bad, and Cher could never be bad.
Ah, of course.
I love Cher. I don't like resent her for keeping me in a tower, though she could keep me in a tower if she wanted, and I'd be fine with that.
So how many other roles in your 2 movies is Cher cast in?
None. Thank you very much. I was yes. I was trying to branch out, but I had to get me and Cher doing a movie together, so we'll be BFFs and have sleepovers. Anyway, so
the question is, who is your love interest? Because now I'm intrigued.
I don't know, and I was like trying so hard to think about this, and like I honestly am not I'm not like, ooh, that guy's so hot. Like my aunt saw Channing Tatum.
I know, one of the waiters from Via Napoli.
No, seriously, I'm just like not that into it. Like my aunt saw Channing Tatum in the airport and took a picture with him and sent it to me, and I was like, who is that? Like I didn't even know. So I'm just not with it. But the only actor person that I really like think is hot or whatever is Ryan Reynolds, who's young, who's not like old and weird. So yeah, he can be John Smith because he has that like fresh-faced appeal, like in The Proposal,
All right, I can see that.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's okay. I was trying to get my wife to help me when I was doing Tarzan, and I was like, I don't know who to pick for Tarzan, and she's like, oh, do Taylor Lautner, and I was like, I'm doing an animated movie. She's like, oh, never mind.
Actually, funny that you say that because I was having trouble with this one because I didn't want to just pick a bunch of white people, because like. But there aren't really any Native American actual actors and actresses. So I put Taylor Lautner as Cocoam because he kind of has that look.
Oh, that is, yeah.
But he doesn't do anything anymore. I mean, I Googled like,
really.
What is Taylor Lautner doing now?
And what is
And-
Taylor Lautner doing now?
Not much, from what I could tell.
Spending his checks from the Twilight series. That's what he's doing right now.
Yeah. So Pocahontas, Coco, Grandmother Willow, John Smith, Powhatan, Pocahontas' dad. I put Denzel Washington, because he is also wise and stoic, you know. And then, her Pocahontas' friend, her name is Nakoma. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I haven't watched Pocahontas in forever. But I put her in there because I saw a picture of Zoe Kravitz and I thought she would be really good at that. And then Radcliffe, I had the biggest problem with that. Can y'all think of anybody that y'all would cast as Radcliffe? Governor Radcliffe?
I don't know. That's a hard one because he's a very especially if you're doing live action, he's a very particular shape.
Well, I picked Christoph Waltz because I know he wouldn't have the shape, but I do think he can do the villainous type thing, So this is who I picked.
So there's this site that I found called mycast.io, and it's literally people get to vote on actors or actresses that they would fan cast for different roles. So I looked up, Governor Ratcliffe to see who people were fan casting.
Oh,
and
I bet I have a good one.
It probably isn't on here because both of these I cannot see. John Goodman was the number 1 runner, and Bryan Cranston was number 2.
I can see John Goodman. I definitely can't see Bryan Cranston.
Nope, not at all.
John Goodman, they only picked him because he's tall and big. I don't think he has the personality. I don't know.
And the nose, he's kind of got a similar nose.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, my pick is not very good for this.
Oh, now you have to tell.
I was gonna think Timothy Spall, who played what wasn't it, Wormtail in the Harry Potter series, but
he's way too creepy. He's not intimidating at all. He's just ew.
I had to look up who he was because I could not remember.
Team Phoenix, I can see him being but I also see this as more of the direction they went with the Joker and with what's his name, Heath Ledger, where it was not as just flat out scary, mean, but much more I don't know, creepy-ish. I don't know the right word that I'm looking for. Anyway, yeah, Radcliffe is hard.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That's a very hard one to fan cast.
Anyway, moving on. One of y'all.
I guess I can go with my middle of the road pick, which was Emperor's New Groove, because I only had 4 people cast for this one.
I'm very curious because I started doing this and I literally I couldn't think of anybody better than David Spade and John Goodman to play the lead role, so I just dropped it.
So this is going to go back to the fact that I really like Parks and Rec because the only 2 people that I could think of first, which would be the obvious for Parks and Rec, would be Aziz Ansari or Danny Pudi from Community, and I guess the new DuckTales. Both of them have that they can have that almost self-absorbed and comedical, I don't know, sense to them that I kind of could see them fit.
Who is this for?
Cusco.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I should have said that first. But I'm not super sold on any of these. But apparently I only had 3 because I wrote next to Pacha. I don't know who I would put here. But for Kronk, the only reason I did this one was because on that same fan casting website, 7 people voted for The Rock as Kronk. And I was okay,
it would work for sure.
I can see him physically as Kronk, but I don't know if he would have the stupid humor that he would have. He's, I don't know, a lot of his comedy doesn't feel like that slow.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how to phrase that, but it doesn't feel like it's the same kind of comedy. And for Yzma, I put, we should bring back Eartha Kitt because she would definitely fit for this role. And if not, Kristen Chenoweth would fit because she's got a very creepy smile.
I love Kristen Chenoweth.
But tell me that she wouldn't fit, though.
I mean, she would probably do such a good job, but she's just so over the top that I can see it working. Yeah, but she would need to wear like really tall platform shoes.
Yeah. And then those were the only three that I had for Emperor's New Groove.
All right. I'll do my... This is probably by far my worst. I thought Tarzan was my best, so I'll save my middle of the road for last. Yeah, I also... Looking back at some of the older ones, I realized there's like usually not a lot of characters in them, so this one has my least amount of characters too. But anyways, for Peter Pan, starring role I gave to Zach Braff. Yeah, I don't know. I had a tough time with it, but I figured he was kind of the
really
chipper,
sad
upbeat, humorous. I thought it could work.
I'm really sad that Beth isn't on for this because I know she has a deep love for him.
Wendy is where I threw Emily Blunt. Let's see. For Captain Hook, I put Peter Dinklage. I think that he would. I don't know. The more I look at these, I'm wondering if I like this as much as I started off with.
I like that you put him. I mean, this is like completely off topic, but I like that you put him in a role, even if it's just voice acting. That's not. I mean, because I obviously read a lot about this being typecast as person with dwarfism. That's their main character, like thing is like, oh, they have dwarfism, not like, oh, there's something else about them that's interesting, Yeah,
I mean, he's an incredible actor, and I definitely think he has a great like kind of sinister voice. Like even watching him on like Game of Thrones and like Death at a Funeral and stuff, he kind of has that like I don't know like creepy, deep, intimidating voice sometimes, even if he's not always cast as that. So I think he would work for that.
I think he would absolutely fit as a voice actor for that.
For John, I put Daniel Radcliffe. It's hard for me. It's like I don't know. I felt like John was like didn't necessarily have to be a kid actor. So if again, I'm doing animated. So for Mr. Smee, I put Chris Pratt. I was on a Parks and Rec kick for a while too, and I had to change up a lot of people, but I thought he would still work as that. And then I don't know. Maybe I don't remember it that much, but apparently there was a narrator for Peter Pan.
I don't remember that.
Apparently there was a narrator, so anytime I get a chance to throw a narrator in there, I threw David Attenborough out for that because he could narrate anything, so might as well have him do it. That's my Peter Pan.
Nice. And pick a tiger lily.
Oh wow!
Or are we skipping that part?
Oh yeah. If we remade this movie, I'm pretty sure that entire part would get cut. So
yeah, that's very true. It's not
exactly Disney's high point.
Right.
So you have one more, right, Kirsten?
Yes. Do you?
I have one more, but
okay.
I didn't know if you wanted to do yours and then we can go around, or if you want to save yours to the end.
I'll save mine because I labored over this, y'all. I did not do any work for an hour today at work.
I threw most of this together before we started, but this is the one that I think I feel the most confident about. So my last one is Hercules, and I've mentioned before that this is like my favorite movie. So when I started piecing this together, I was like, oh, I really have to pay attention because I love this movie and I'll be mad if I ruin it. So for my Hercules, I picked Chris Pratt just because he has like the I guess the build and the face that would seem very Hercules-esque. My only issue with him is that I don't think that he quite has the voice that they would need for Hercules. He can sing, but he's got more of like a lower ranged voice. and that was kind of the only one that I struggled with on this list.
Don't like him, like as a person. I think he's kind of a jerk. Well, I've just read that he's not the greatest person, so it's hard for me to cast him in anything.
I mean, there was like a whole big controversy with him, like not even a year or two ago, so I can totally see why you would not like him. But funny enough, even though my qualifications for Hercules didn't include singing, my qualifications for Meg did. And I had two people that I couldn't decide between for her, and I picked Anne Hathaway or Emily Blunt, and I'm kind of leaning more towards the Emily Blunt one, mostly probably because she was just in Mary Poppins, and that's like fresh on my mind.
And the trailer, we should have mentioned this in the news. The trailer for Jungle Cruise came out today.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Good.
Let's come back to that because I have something I want to talk about that involves that. So starting to dive into the other characters, this one's a little bit of an off-ball pick, but I have a reason behind it. When I cast Hades, I couldn't really find anybody that would fit the role the same way. So I kind of took the Will Smith genie approach and cast Robert Downey Jr. as Hades because I think he could make a very like snarky and a little bit more sinister of a character.
That's good.
I think he would definitely be interesting in that role.
Would literally go live in the underworld to prepare.
Probably. And one of my lower tier characters that I well, not even lower tier, but one of the characters that I cast in here that I was very proud of was Patrick Stewart as Zeus.
That's good.
Yeah.
That was one I was like, oh, he would
one.
fit perfectly. He's got the voice. It would fit. We're going to keep Danny DeVito as Phil because one, I kind of want to see. Yeah.
I mean,
I kind of want to see Danny DeVito
Phil.
with CGI horse legs. And for my Pain and Panic, I had Bobby Moynihan as Pain and Bill Hader as Panic.
That is perfect. That is seriously perfect.
Those were the two that I was like so proud of. I was like, oh, I can't wait.
That is holy crap. I think that's the best I've heard tonight for casting. Oh, that is good, man.
So now you got to follow it, Brian.
Oh man, that's rough. Okay. This is my casting for The Little Mermaid. Okay, for Ariel, I originally had Zooey Deschanel, and now I'm kind of torn between her or Amy Adams for Ariel. I don't know if maybe the red hair is just pulling me towards Amy Adams, but for Prince Eric, I put John Krasinski. Yeah,
there's your office.
There's my office. Yep. I have a funny one at the end too. I originally had someone else from The Office, but I changed it. I'll get to that. But for Ursula, I put Kathy Bates.
That's a good one.
This one is definitely cheating, but for Sebastian, I put Titus Burgess, which he did Sebastian in the Broadway.
That's a good pick, though.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not the only one that thinks he'd be good for that role. So, for Flounder, I picked Sean Astin. For Triton, I put Liam Neeson. And then for Scuttle, okay, I originally had Creed Bratton, and I was
really,
yeah. I mean, I thought it would be funny, like him, like trying to explain all the goofy, like human thingamabobs that he has. But I switched that, and I think I'm more confident with my final choice. I went with Eric Idle for Scuttle.
Okay.
Turn again.
All right. Yep. Here's the last one. Take us home, Kirsten.
Oh Lord. I started 3 different lists and crossed out everybody today. I started 5 different movies. This is so hard. But I feel okay. So Cher's always talked about this, and she made me realize that most of the time in these movies, the good girl, the heroine, whatever, is blonde, and the villain is dark haired when it comes to women, you know, like they're tan and dark haired. And it's, you know, Cinderella, like Rapunzel. Like, so I really wanted to not pick any like off the shelf blonde, cute actress. So I picked Daisy Ridley for Cinderella.
Okay, I can see that.
And then because they have such good chemistry and I just couldn't think of anybody else, I put John Boyega for Prince Charming. And he's like so wholesome, you know. For anybody who doesn't know listening, he's Poe, right? Finn. Sorry, I can't remember their names. He's Finn in Star Wars. So, because they just work so well together. I don't know. I love it. For the fairy godmother, have y'all ever seen the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella with Brandy as Cinderella and Whitney Houston as the fairy godmother and Bernadette Peters as the stepmother? Well, y'all are missing out because
I have not.
It's one of the best movies of all times and you should watch it. Anyway, I love Whitney Houston as the fairy godmother, but obviously she's dead. So I picked Viola Davis because I felt like that was kind of somebody who's similar and has that like motherly personality.
That works.
Lady Tremaine, Angelica Houston. She hasn't done anything in like forever. Well, anything that I've seen, but whatever. And then Anastasia Sophie Turner.
Okay.
And Drizella Jamila Jamil. Do y'all watch The Good Place?
Yes.
So I figured she would be good. And then Gus and Jock, I don't really actually know who these people are. Will's going to kill me for this. But I know they were really funny in The Lion King, so I put Key and Peele. And they were good in Toy Story. Toy Story, not Lion King. Toy Story. What?
I'm backing up to that. Like
Are you? I can hear you. I don't know who
you
they are.
You don't know who Key and Peele are? Yeah.
Not really. No. I mean, I told you I'm not hip. Right. Like with the young kids, I don't know. Like I'm like that meme. Hello, fellow children. Like I'm old and I don't pay attention.
All right, so we're gonna have to start sending her Key and Peele videos.
I mean, yeah, because Will's like Key and Peele. They're the bunny and the ducky in Toy Story, and I'm like, who is that? So, but I know that they were really funny, so I thought that would be good.
So we'll give her that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of off topic, but did either of y'all watch Friends from College?
I did not.
Oh. Anyway, Keegan-Michael Key's in it, but Jordan Peele's not. And I like keep expecting him to show up because like everything that they do together, and it's like weird seeing them like on their own. But anyways,
so I kind of took this one step further because Jungle Cruise was on my mind, and we had a conversation in our Discord a while back, last month it looks like, because I timestamped this. And someone said when we were talking about the Jungle Cruise movie, I'm probably being overly optimistic, but with the MCU making so much money that it's starting to swing the film industry from tentpole movies to cinematic universes, what's the logistical IP that Disney owns that could make it into another like C synergy movie? And I started thinking about that and thinking about plot lines. And I wanted to ask you guys if you thought, like, if you had to make a new movie kind of like the Jungle Cruise, but like around an attraction, what attractions would you pick and what ones would you like want to explore the backstories of in movie form?
You know, it was funny that you say that because I was kind of thinking it because like, I mean, like I said in the Discord chat, like I got a very Pirates, like first Pirates of the Caribbean movie type feel from like watching the trailer. And I was like, oh man, it'd be cool if they spun that off into like a series. And I thought, well, I don't really know if there's that much content there. You know, like,
oh, just wait. I have a series of 4 movies that I like to call the first phase of the Disney Sea universe.
Oh boy. Okay. Now see that no pun, I can see that because like that'll give you different stuff to choose from. Like if it was specifically Jungle Cruise, then no, I probably couldn't see that. But okay, now I'm very curious to hear this.
I feel like Jungle Cruise could be like the new Indiana Jones, to be quite
That's
honest.
Hmm.
Because
that's what I thought at first too.
They were goofy
Sorry, go
at
ahead.
first, right? Like, weren't they kind of like how James Bond used to be more slapstick and now it's like very serious? Wasn't Indiana Jones like that? Right? Like the first
It's
one.
been a
was
very
more
long
goofy.
time since I've seen Indiana
I
Jones.
had never
Same.
seen it, and so Will made me watch Raiders of the Lost Ark a couple years ago, and I don't know if I just thought it was goofy because it's so old, or if it really was supposed to be like a little bit funny. But anyway,
It could be either one of those. But before I dive into my universe, are there any movies that you guys would want to see based on like a Disney attraction? Like you don't even have to pull any plot points or anything out. I just want to know if there's anything that like, you know, you guys see an attraction and you're like, oh, that would make an interesting story that I would want to see a movie about.
well, I'm actually terrified of scary movies, and I actually have a huge space phobia. But I think number one, an adult haunted mansion where they do it right, and like no Eddie Murphy. Like I've never seen the Haunted Mansion movie, but I know it's not good.
Don't.
Yeah,
They
it's
could do
probably
like
best if you don't watch it.
like a legit good movie based on Haunted Mansion.
Still
'cause
waiting for
there's
that
so
Guillermo del
much-
Toro movie.
What?
You know, Guillermo del Toro was supposedly has written a Haunted Mansion plot. He's also apparently written like 15 other plots that everybody's like super excited about, but hasn't gotten picked up yet.
Would be
so.
too scary for me.
He's really good at writing a lot of movies, but never doing anything with them.
Mhm. But I think that's just him. It's like if he writes it and gets to the end and it was like written good, but he doesn't see it being turned into a movie, he's not going to have it come out and be a crappy movie. He's just going to sit on the plot.
Yeah.
Number two, horror movie. It's a Small World. Sorry, it's gotta happen. And number three, Space Mountain. But maybe and I'm literally terrified of space, so I probably couldn't watch that either. But and also, I feel like Tomorrowland just could have been so much better, and there could have been like so many movies. Like the concept is so good, and
Yeah.
the movie just did not live up to everybody's expectations. And I wish it had, because then I feel like there would be more.
Did you have any movies that you wanted to see or attractions you wanted to see turned into movies, Brian?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of any offhand. I got burned too many times, you know. Haunted Mansion, Country Bears. Too
Oh
afraid.
man, I totally forgot. My joke today was supposed to be like, okay, well, for my first movie choice, I did the Country Bears. Dang, Will was like, you gotta pretend that you cast the Country Bears movie, and I
Well,
forgot.
Shoot.
Just cast all of us in the Country Bears movie. That's it.
Me.
So my idea for a Disney Parks Sea universe, I'm not going to touch the Jungle Cruise movie, but I think that they could introduce this as kind of like a standalone movie, and all of these movies should tie together kind of how they did the first couple phases or the first couple movies in the phase one of MCU, where they would tie them together with like a post-credit scene. So you would know what movie's coming next, and they would all kind of appear to be in the same universe, but without actually like directly saying like, oh, this is the next movie. So the Jungle Cruise is going to stay the same, even though I know nothing about it. The only hope that I have for this movie is that there's some kind of artifact that The Rock has to rescue from wherever they're going. And in the end credit scene, he shows up at Mystic Manor and delivers it to a Dr. Henry Mystic.
That's so good.
So for this one, this would be kind of like the introduce it, throw the idea out, see if anybody's interested in like a Museum of the Weird type movie. But don't necessarily like if it doesn't work out, they can just bail on it. Which as much as I wouldn't want them to, it would be totally possible that the Jungle Cruise is going to bomb and they don't want to carry through with it. But the next movie, which would be Mystic Manor, would be more of like a comedy adventure with Albert and Henry, and they would it would be similar to the actual attraction, but would have Henry Mystic a little more involved in it. Albert would open the music box, which would bring a lot of the artifacts to life, but through all of the trying to calm them down, it would be kind of like a buddy cop movie with the two of them. And they would have to use some of the artifacts in the house to bring everything together, only to realize that the music box is too strong to be stored in Mystic Manor. And Henry Mystic would end up taking it to Fortress of Exploration, which, as we talked about in our C episode, is kind of like the C hub. And as he's walking through the halls to deliver this music box to where he's going, he walks past a crystal ball that suddenly fills with smoke, and two glowing green eyes appear in the ball, which would tease the Haunted Mansion movie. The Haunted Mansion movie would be more of a horror movie than like the comedy that we got with the original Haunted Mansion movie. And it would focus on Constance, which I know is not going to be super big because a lot of people don't really like her. But I think if they did it that way and they talked about her being like the hatchet bride and like, you know, talking about her husbands that she kills and like making it more of a horror in that sense, they could also tease the Tower of Terror movie for Hightower Hotel, because as we talked about in our C episode, George Hightower is in Haunted Mansion, was one of Constance's husbands, and his brother runs the Tower of Terror in Tokyo, I think it is, or Hong Kong, whichever one is the Tower of Terror that's not themed to Twilight Zone. And then that movie would be like the culmination of all four of these movies, and that would potentially tie into something bigger. I didn't quite flesh that one out yet because I think that attraction has a strong enough like theme of just telling the story of this guy that has an artifact that basically he stole, and an evil god is, you know, killing him for stealing an artifact. I think that all of these could tie together like that, and Disney could do it in a way that if they really didn't want to do anything, they could just stop and say, look, we gave you 4 movies that tied in together, and that's it.
That's awesome. That really is. And you're right. Like, that's how it should be. They should all be standalone movies that have kind of subtle nods and tie-ins to each other. It shouldn't be like this one leads directly to this one and it doesn't make sense if you haven't seen the other ones. Because that's kind of how the attractions and stuff work. Like, if you dig into it and you find all the C connections, it's really cool, but you don't obviously have to do that to enjoy the attractions.
Yeah, and I think that they could culminate it to one big plot point if they really wanted to. Like, that's the one thing that I really love about the first phase of the Marvel movies, is that they all kind of work as standalone movies, which the other ones do too, but there's stuff that, like, if you miss it, it's kind of like oh, well, that's from the first movie. If you saw that, you would kind of understand it a little bit more. But by doing these all standalone, like you said, it stays true to the attractions, and then they can eventually say, oh, well, we want to do one big movie that's all 4 of these guys, even though I think in most of them they either like would retire or die off in the case of the Haunted Mansion movie. But like, I think that they could easily just say, all right, well, we're going to do one big one that's all about C, and it's going to be like little traces back to everything that just happened in these 4 movies.
I would definitely watch those movies.
I was thinking this through and I was like, man, I'm giving myself way too much hope about the Jungle Cruise movie. So I want to say that I went back, and I just want to give a quick shout out to DMG550 in our Discord for giving me the idea to start that conversation. So yeah, that was my idea. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap this week up?
Not really. I'm curious to see what other people I'm curious to see what other people, if they have opinions on this.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if
write us in with your casted movies too, because I struggle.
Clearly,
with this.
I'm definitely not good at it. So
yeah, if you have someone that you think would be perfect in a role, let us know. I'm gonna start trying to do this thing that I started this week, where in our Discord, I'm going to try to have a conversation specifically geared to that episode. That's not going to be exclusive to our Discord. So let us know on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you see the episode post, just say, hey, I thought this person would be great for this role. And we'll be happy to converse about some of our ideas for that movie, maybe.
But also, if you're not on our Discord, come join our Discord.
Yes. because it's been lots of fun trying to figure out how this thing works. Then that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you want to get in touch with us, links to all of our social media can be found on our website at www.station71podcast.com. If there's something you want us to talk about on the show, you can email us at station71podcast@gmail.com, or you can join the conversation on our Discord at bit.ly/s71chat. We hope you enjoyed your ride, and we'll see you real soon.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.